All right. Hello, YouTube. This is Richard, founder of ShortTermRentalSecrets.com and Airbnb Superhost. I want to thank Micah for buying our listing review, and we're going to get right into it. As you know, we do it in 6 different ways. We start with the title, then we look at the photos and the order of the title. Sorry. Then we look at the photos and the order of the photos, the thumbnail, the description, the reviews that Mike has gathered. He's new to hosting, so there's only a few, but we're going to check those out. Hello, Guapo. And also the pricing. So let's get right into it. The title, Cozy Room and Free Subway Smart Card Gigabit Internet. I think I understand what it is that you're trying to do, Micah, and I think it's really helpful. I think that the free subway and the smart card gigabit internet or whatever appeals to a certain group, and I think that that's probably a good thing. But I'm not sure that that should be the differentiating factor. I think when people are looking for a shared room, and I'm actually glad we're doing this review because we haven't had the opportunity to do a shared room in the past. But I think when you're looking for a shared room, you're looking for a couple of things. One would be location, like I'm going to stay in a shared room because of the location, and 2, the person that I'm sharing it with. So I think it's probably pretty important to talk about yourself and the location much more than it is that there's a free subway card and a gigabit. I would like to see you say something like the location, close to subway, and then something about yourself. Maybe I'm never home, or I work at home, or something that tells people, again, and it's a shared room, so they're going to be living with you. Something about the location and something about you. I love the fact that you include the smart card and the gigabit internet, and I think that's a great differentiating factor. I'm just not sure that that's going to be the reason that somebody's going to book the place. And that title and the first photo are the only 2 things that people are going to know when they're doing a search between you and 100 other ones. So I think that can be improved. Let's go ahead and take a look at the photos and the order of them, and I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through them real quick. Okay, cool. So Micah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement in here, and I'm really glad you paid to do this review because I think you're going to get your money's worth in the way of better photos, better marketing of your shared room here, and therefore more bookings. So the very first thing I want to say is, and I mean this with all due respect, just trying to be helpful, you have to clean up. Being an Airbnb host isn't for everybody. Having people stay in your home with you isn't for everyone. So if you take a look at this photo and you think that the place looks clean, it may not be a great business opportunity for you. If, however, and this is what I'm hoping, you were just so excited to get started and you didn't clean up and you just wanted to get listed and get some revenue in and you just took them, then that's great. But now that we're taking it to the next level, we're going for superhost status. We want to make this a bigger part of your income, livelihood, and maybe even your future. Let's do best practices, and the $49 that you paid for this is certainly going to work. So I'm just going to point out some things here. There's stuff everywhere, and it's not enticing, right? Nobody's going to look at this and say, oh, I want to be in a place where there's the owner's suitcases in the middle, then there's a bunch of sheets or towels, and there's a backpack, and there's more stuff over here. It looks like some clutter over here. Again, it's nothing terrible, but it doesn't need to be present in your title shot. I find it a little bit distracting to have the shades open on one and not on the other, so do them both. And I kind of like the fact that you can see through. I'm a big fan of seeing what's behind the windows, so maybe just if you're taking the shot again, which I would encourage after you clean up, have both windows look the same so that you can see through and see what the neighborhood stuff is. And just clean all this stuff over here on the end. I don't know what they are, cartridges, doesn't really matter, but it doesn't add a lot of value. And try and take the photo perhaps from a slightly lower perspective. I understand that you can't do very much with regard to this cable. It probably comes from the outside, and that's how you run it to your television, but you might be able to do things with the way of a staple gun and get it flatter so that it looks a little neater. You could even paint it. You could go out and get matching paint color so that it wouldn't contrast. It wouldn't be white walls with black cable. It's these little things. And I know at Home Depot for $3, they actually make these plastic U cables, and it's literally something that you can paint. It goes over, right? So the cable would be on the wall, and this cap goes over it. Again, it depends how serious you want to get, but if you want to attract people, these are the kind of things that psychologically it sends messages to people that it's not that clean. Same thing with the kitchen here. You've got more stuff on the table. There's a couple of garbages over here. They look like they're full. There's another box over here. There's stuff on the refrigerator. Again, not the end of the world, but it just doesn't look like a place that I want to come and hang out. Like if I'm there on business, I don't see exactly where I'm going to hang out. If I'm there for pleasure, I'm not exactly sure where I want to hang out. If just for the photo, maybe take the ladder and put it outside. It's not adding a lot of value. And I'm not sure what this thing is over here. It looks like some sort of metal dome or light. But again, shoot this photo again once you clean up a little bit. You don't need the boxes, you don't need the trash, you don't need the clutter. Just go ahead and clean it up. Then this photo is the other side of the kitchen. I think this is actually a worthwhile photo. I would take it from a slightly lower perspective. I would get the box out, I would get the empty cup out. I would try and shoot it with like full dishwasher detergents and all of that so that it looks like the place is well maintained and kept and just tidy. Maybe turn the light on the overhead range so that you can see that it's well lit. And then these things look sort of empty. You know, I don't know if they're stocked or not, but again, just pretend that you were shooting this room for a cover photo and just get rid of the stuff that doesn't add value to that cover photo. Here's the bathroom. I don't love the towel over the shower. I don't love the empty cups over here. Again, someone's coming here and they're going to say, well, what space do I get to use? It looks like the owner's living here and I'm just like crashing on his pad, which is cool if you're in college, or I just had friends stay at my house. You know, they were really not picky, but I also wasn't charging them. And I also wasn't competing against other places that don't have that clutter, right? And that's ultimately what it is. It may be very comfortable. You might be a great host. That could be the best place and the best value. But when people are looking at you compared to others on Airbnb, others, I think, are going to stand out better. And the goal is to get clickings at the most dollars per night and make as much money as possible. This second photo doesn't really add a lot of value versus the first, although what it does do is it shows me that your wall could use a paint job here. There's a stain or some sort of, I don't know, something happened there, and then there's these stains over here. So I would just clean those up again. If you even include this photo, I'm not sure it's necessary. Now we're back to the living room and the couch, and this is just, it's almost like you're highlighting how much clutter there is, and that's just really not good. So when I look at it from this angle, the throw pillow isn't straight. Put that nice and straight on the couch. Get rid of everything that's on the couch. Get rid of the luggage. Get rid of the sheets or whatever this is over here. There's all sorts of electronics clutter over here. There's a huge mess of wires over here. There's no art over the sofa, but doing all of that, as little as it may seem, is going to make the place look much more inviting. Like, I'm not dying to come here and hang out on this couch or in this living room. And you want me to be, right? Like, you're in a great location, you've got fast internet, you're near the subway, you're going to give me a subway card, it's a great deal, but I'm not really like saying sign me up. Here's the guest bedroom, same sort of thing. It looks like an afterthought. I'm not sure what's here in this space, but let's get it all out of here. The wall literally looks like it's dirty. I don't know if it just needs a paint coat, but you know, you could hire somebody very inexpensively or even do it yourself and just make it so that it's uniform. I don't think that's a shadow. I literally think that the wall is not the right color. I don't know what this cable is up here. It's something like plugged in, and then the rest of the space has shoe boxes. This is somebody's space. You want people to come here and feel comfortable. You want them to stay with you not one day, but 3 or 5. You want them to come back, and you want them to stay with you again. And this photo, to me, doesn't look like the bed is made properly. I can't tell what the pillow is. Black is kind of not such an attractive color for the duvet because it kind of like hides dirt. So in combination with all of the other dirt and stuff all over the place, this isn't an inviting place for me. And I bet that there's a lot of people that feel similarly, and what you want to do is attract as many people, right? So I think that there's a few things you can do in this room that'll really add a lot of value, like painting it and getting a different color duvet. I'm not sure what this photo does except show that there's shelves, but those shelves are full with your stuff. So it's not really very helpful for the guest. The outside of the building looks fine. I kind of like it. It almost, looks, it looks nice. I mean, I would maybe sweep the sidewalk a little bit and the stairs. You probably, I don't know if you own the place or you just rent, but maybe you could get your landlord to paint the steps a little bit. I mean, minor things. This is a fine photo. And then this is a really nice photo. Nice, quiet Boston street beside the house. Looks nice and quiet. There's on-street parking. You might want to mention that if people drive, whether they can park or not. So, in conclusion, I think that your photos are really, really able to be improved. I think it'll take you an hour to clean your place. I think it'll take you half a day to paint a couple of walls. I think it'll take you an hour to like re-photograph them all, and your listing will be literally from like a C to like an A-. And I think that that's all money in your pocket. So I really encourage you to do it, and you're doing the right thing by asking me to review it. All right, so let's get on to the next step, which is the thumbnail. And I think this is a great thumbnail based on what I've seen thus far. However, you need to reshoot it. If you reshoot it and this doesn't have all the clutter and the pillow's right and everything looks nice and neat, maybe add a little bit of life in the room, like some flowers or a plant or something like that. I think this is probably your best shot, and so I agree with the selection. I just think it needs to be reshot. Okay, let's see how you've described it. Furnished, cozy room in South Boston, includes all the amenities you'll need, easy access to downtown, close to I-93, South Station, 5-minute walk, Andrew Red Line, 15-minute drive, includes one round-trip smart card. That's great, gives you a discount and faster access, and it's got gigabit internet. I love the fact that you highlight the internet. I think a lot of people that are traveling in Airbnb and staying in shared homes are interested in internet speed, so I think that that's fantastic. It includes air conditioning, television, sheets and towels. Let's see, the prices, sleeping arrangements, cancellations. Okay, so the description I think is a little bit light, and I think that there's a few more things that you can talk about. So for instance, talk about like what's in walking distance, what types of restaurants, maybe shoot some photos of the restaurants or the bar or the cafe or the coffee shop. There must be something so that people know, like, oh, well, if I stay here and I don't feel like cooking in the kitchen, which, I stayed in a shared house recently and I didn't feel like it was exactly mine. I felt like I was sharing it and I didn't really want to go in there and mess with it. So it'd be really nice to know, like, what can I walk to? What's available? Where can I get a cup of coffee? I think you should talk a little bit about, and actually, the television here, there's not one in the bedroom. You might want to get one, but in the television in the living room, is that for the guests to use? Is that for you to use? Does it have streaming? Does it have, you have fast Wi-Fi? Does it have Netflix? Is it a smart TV? Just try and paint the picture, like how are people using it? Now that you've had 4 people stay there with you, who were they? Were they there for conferences? Were they millennials? Were they older? Well, I don't think it was a couple. It looks like it's a twin bed. But try and explain to people how they might use it. Like, what do you think the most appealing things are? And I think you're onto a couple of differentiating factors. The smart card is a differentiating factor, but literally the guy next door to you could just offer a smart card and you're no longer, different. The Xfinity gigabit internet, I think, is a differentiating factor. Not everyone's going to have that. Not everyone's going to be thoughtful enough to mention it. So I think that that's helpful. But again, the 2 things that you've basically highlighted, anybody in Boston could say, I'm including a smart card and I have fast internet. And that's not enough. You have to talk a little bit more about you, the location, the unit itself. So that's what I would encourage. Let's see what people think about your place. So you have 4 reviews, 5 stars each. That's amazing. Micah was absolutely fantastic to stay with. Prompt, communication, accommodating. You loaned him an umbrella. That's awesome. That's great. Great host. Check-in was a breeze. Coming back was not bad. I had an app to lock and unlock. You might want to mention that you've got like smart technology that's going to work for people. You've got a new pair of slippers. That's really nice. I like that. Clean, convenient, less than 5 minutes from Boston. See, you know, I'm surprised and also delighted that somebody says that your place was clean, right? Like if your place is clean when a guest shows up, then you have to have a clean place for when you photograph it. And it sounds like you're doing really well, you know, made sure I was taken care of. I would certainly recommend staying with them. That's fantastic. So I think you're doing a great job. It does seem to me though, you have 5 stars on everything except 4.5 on cleanliness. So they're picking up on that same sort of thing. It can be cleaner. A fresh coat of paint, the clutter removal will go a long, long way. So we've talked about the reviews, and finally let's take a look at your pricing. $49 a night seems very reasonable. October looks like it's pretty much sold out. You have some availability in November, about half sold out. December, you have a lot of availability, which is good. You want to have availability. You don't want to be the first to book. And it doesn't look like you're using any sort of smart pricing, which I think once you take the new photos, you're going to want to try something like beyond pricing. And I think you wrote to us that you're going to get started with that. So that's cool. I also point out that you're doing the supporting the living wage pledge, which is cool. You're charging $33, which I think is about right on a $49 a night. So overall, I think that you're off to a great start. I'm not a huge fan of flexible cancellations. I like the fact that you've got the 1 night minimum. So I think that that'll be really great. I think you're off to a great start. I think the biggest opportunity here for you is to improve your photos, improve your description, focus on your unique selling proposition. Why is somebody going to book Micah's place versus the place upstairs or the place below? And if you do all those things, I think you're going to be super successful and a super host and start to become a real estate entrepreneur. So I really appreciate you sending this in for us. This is a different type of listing for us. I hope people that are just getting started or not sure if like their spare bedroom will find this helpful for them. And I just want to thank you. If you want your listing reviewed, go ahead and leave a comment in the link below, or leave a comment in the section below, and we'll do our very best to get to you. And in the meantime, I want to thank you. I want to wish you happy hosting, and I'm going to ask you to kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks so very much. Have a great day. Micah, happy hosting. I appreciate it, my friend.